All right, so this morning we've listened to some really inspiring discussions and from educators, academics. So we wanted to come in here this morning and actually come from a different perspective. We're not educators, we're not even in games. We're actually from the visual effects and animation industry. We wanted to bring that context. Alwyn and I have been working in animation and games animation and visual effects for about 18 years. I say that game thing there because we actually realised that early on we probably wanted to switch to games. You guys kind of felt like you overtook us a bit. But we've worked on everything from the big blockbuster films. I started out doing Happy Feet. My last film was actually Bumblebee as a CG supervisor at Industrial Light and Magic. Alwyn over here rocking our beautiful R logo for the rookies. He has had an equally successful career in visual effects. He's basically worked on everything from The Hobbit to Thor. Now, I think the thing here is that, we are not from the game industry, but what we can actually say is that we know that games industries and getting into these creative industries is extremely tough. It's a tough industry. You guys as educators and students have a really tough job. Like it's a challenge to get into these careers, and we've been through this path. And I think the thing for us is that, everything's changing. We've got this thing where, you guys are trying to keep up with software and technology and trying to figure out how do we teach this when, Unity comes out and releases a whole new bit of software or some technology changes. You guys have got that challenge and the students have that challenge as well. And it's a global field here. Like before, when we started out, it was very localized. You'd actually go study, you'd actually compete with people in your class for the job, and you'd sort of go around and think, I can get the job down the road, this is nice and easy. But jobs now, even junior level jobs, they're actually taken by people overseas. Like people senior level with lots of experience will actually compete for jobs locally and on a global scale just because they're desperate to get to another country or go to the big name studios. So it's a big problem right now. The one thing that I think we've sort of seen over the years is that it's because it's a creative field and it's a technical field, there's not necessarily a list of sort of certified skills. Like if you go into business or finance or you're a lawyer, you have these tests, these universal tests that you pass. But when you're actually sort of from a creative side especially, and you're studying and you're going out there and trying to create a portfolio, it's very subjective, and that's a real problem. That's a huge challenge for everyone. Even if you do go out and you get a great education and you do everything right, you get your portfolio and you think that you're ready. We just interviewed over 3,000 students from around the world, and over 45% felt they weren't ready for a job. And that's huge. That's a massive problem. They've spent the money, they've been taught by amazing educators, but there's still this big disconnect.
And that's, primarily the reason why we started the Rookies like 9 years ago. Was we recognise this disconnect. We recognise that the landscape of education is changing right now. There's a lot more options for students to be able to teach themselves online. So the Rookies offers a clear pathway into these creative fields. So we do that by taking them on this journey, and it's from somebody that's that moment that they recognise that they want to get into games. It could be that little thing, that game that they played, or somebody that's graduating. It's using our experience, because we've been there before, to guide them on that journey. So we do that through recommending schools that we think are doing a fabulous job. Each year we release a white paper of the schools that we think are doing a great job, and that's based off the quality of the students that are coming out. It's driven by professionals, so it's giving advice. So each year, we're getting lots of questions about, hey, where are the best schools? What's the software we need to be learning? Because this industry is evolving at such a rapid rate that there's a problem with facilities and training facilities not agile enough to keep up with it. So for us, the skilled certification that we're talking about is very important, and we're releasing that this year, and we've got the support of industry, and we've also got the support of education to be able to establish this clear pathway into it. There's a lot of noise for students, and we're just trying to give them some clarity. And like I said, there's a lot of training facilities with big marketing budgets, and there's a global problem. We talk at a lot of schools, and it always amazes me when I go in and talk to schools and say, hey, what software are you using as a text artist? That's my background. And there's schools that are missing complete evolutions of software, and that scares me. I'll drop a couple of questions, and that to me is a huge problem. So for us, the certification is going to be a big deal this year, and like I said, we've got big industry players that are helping us drive that, and education as well. So to get that clear pathway is going to be a huge benefit, not only for schools, because it's offering that blueprint back to universities, back to schools to go, hey, what is that set of curriculum that we need to be teaching right now? There's industry is screaming out for its students to be ready. So for people that are teaching themselves are also getting this direction of the certification as well as the schools. So that's a big deal for us this year. We're also, with the Rookies platform, we're able to offer, real-world contests. A lot of these students they enter into contests and it's, they really get nothing out of it. But we're providing industry briefs so these kids can actually come out of it and have a portfolio that has got work that is relevant. A lot of people will go in and have to do art tests to get into gaming companies or whatever it may be. So it's providing these briefs and contests and something that's useful for their portfolio as well.
So I think just on that topic of the contests and the real world sort of perspective to try and challenge, students and to help educators connect with industry, for the last 9 years we've been running the Rookie Awards. Now this is a competition where we ask students from all around the world when they're graduating to share with us what they're using to get a job. So depending on what type of job you're going for, we're asking you to send that to us and to get some feedback. Now the reason why they're doing this is because we have over 120 of some of the biggest names out there in visual effects, games, architectural visualization. So from a student's perspective, I mean, they've spent all this time training, learning. You guys have been empowering them to really become the best artists they can be. But it's really interesting that when they get a chance to actually get some feedback from a professional, someone that they're kind of, inspired by, someone like who's an art director on some of the biggest AAA games, or a visual effects supervisor who just, won an Oscar award, that's a big deal, and that's like our focus. Like, we're trying to provide that connection. With this, I think, over the years we've launched hundreds of careers. We have really close relationships with schools. We have really close relationships with studios. We're trying to get internships and scholarships. We're trying to level the playing field. One of the big things that we actually offer as well is, students come out and they graduate from a course and, they might get their diploma or their degree, whatever it is, but what we offer, we're trying to give them a certificate. So what we do when you actually come to the Rookies, the students actually get ranked. They get reviewed by this huge industry panel. So the industry panel spends months reviewing all these applications and all these entries. So what happens then is that we can essentially rank students from top to bottom and give them a sort of their first sort of idea of how they're sort of competing, how they're comparing with other students around the world. And we just base this on everything from creativity, the technical skills they're using. But I think the big thing is, it's like, are they ready for industry? And that's the ranking that we're trying to do. We're trying to empower them to figure out, am I actually ready? I think I am ready, but this is sort of this one thing that helps, reinforce that. So I think the other thing that we're trying to do, like if I loop back to this whole discussion today about empowering students and educators, it's like, to me, the greatest thing that I think we're doing is like helping build confidence. It's in this industry, games, visual effects, animation, it's a difficult industry where you've got to go out and show your work. And this is something that you do on a daily basis, and we find that you know, by providing this platform, like it's building confidence in these students to be able to go, you know what, like I actually am pretty good at this, and just, you know, you're supported by other people on this same journey, and I think that's the big thing we're about. Like, we've been on this journey. You guys are doing such a great job helping students start this journey and learn the right things and, you know, be inspired. And I mean, I think we're just trying to figure out how do we join those two worlds? You know, how do we, from the studio side and the professional side, help educators? And, you know, everyone's been trying to bridge this gap. There's some people doing amazing things, and I think that's just one thing that we're trying to do with the Rookies and the Rookie Awards. And yeah, so...
Yeah, so the Rookies is currently open. So it opened in March and it runs right through till the end of May. So during that time, students can upload their portfolio and, like Andrew said, get it seen by industry and start building that confidence early on. I think, you know, for us today, you know, like for you guys to be able to encourage your students to actually get onto the Rookies and get that exposure and look at the opportunities through the Rookies, it would be phenomenal for us. There's a lot of schools around the world, like it's a global contest, so there's a lot of schools around the world that are already incorporating the Rookies into the syllabus because they see that as the first step into the industry and getting that exposure. So yeah, and we'd like to thank Unity, Carl and Melissa for bringing us all the way from Australia. I hope everybody understood us. We brought our translator from Chicago, but he isn't. He's sitting there still half asleep. But thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.